Swim 2.4 miles, bike 112 miles, run 26.2 miles, brag for the rest of your life.
Ironman, what is that? I could try to explain it, but I was lucky enough to solicit a friend who's generally considered a historian of the sport, one of the founders of the Challenged Athlete Foundation, a member of both the USA Triathlon Hall of Fame as well as the Ironman Hall of Fame, and a salt of the earth type of guy. Bob Babbitt, good to see you, and how are you?
I'm great, Dave. How's the training going?
Training is starting up. Had cataract surgery very early in my life, apparently, but as some people might have noticed, no longer I'm wearing these UV blocking glasses, and I can now see the Garmin without glasses or contacts, which is pretty cool.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
How did Ironman, let's call it, get invented? And,
Sure.
and the distances seem kind of arbitrary, and yet they're probably not.
Sort of random, but so basically triathlon started here in San Diego in 1974, and John Collins, his wife Judy, and their kids lived here in San Diego. He was based here in the Navy, and they were doing the early triathlons out of Fiesta Island, which were created by the San Diego Track Club, basically as workouts, because if you're running all the time, you break down. And so they started doing these things at a place called Fiesta Island where you'd run a little bit, then you ride a bike, and people were borrowing bikes from places. Then you'd swim across this little Fiesta Island had these Mission Bay. You'd swim from one point to another. And so John and Judy were doing those events with their kids. And then when he was transferred to Hawaii, to Oahu, there was an article in Sports Illustrated talking about Eddie Merckx as the world's fittest endurance athlete. And he'd won the Tour de France 5 times. And John and Judy were very involved with the athletic community, endurance sports community in Oahu. They did this run around Oahu called the Perimeter Relay. They did the swimming events. And so they were very involved. So the big argument after the Perimeter Relay was, well, wait a second. They're saying this Eddie Merckx guy is the greatest endurance athlete. Why is that? Why isn't the swimmer? Why isn't it the runner? Why is it the cyclist? So John gets up in front of the group and says, okay, we're going to find out once and for all who the greatest endurance athlete is. We'll take the Waikiki Rough Water Swim, which is 2.4 miles, the Around Oahu Bike Ride, which is 112 miles, and the Honolulu Marathon, which is 26.2 miles. We'll put them all together and we'll call the winner the Ironman. And then he promptly forgot about it. And one of the guys who worked for him kept saying, sir, why don't we do that iron thing, sir? So in February of 1978, they put on the first ever of Ironman triathlon. And the whole idea was that, people who were coming out to do the event, you had Gordon Heller, who was a taxi driver on the island and was an endurance guy. He had run a 2:27 marathon. Right. He's a 2:27 guy. And he had just done that in, I think, November of the year before in 77. So he was going to be one of the favorites. But I mean, this guy didn't own a car. So what he would do in terms of his workouts, he kept a workout log, and he would, every fair that he would drive, he'd go and do a 2-mile run afterwards. So he sent me his training log, and leading into that first Ironman, he ran like 180 miles in the month leading in. I think he rode his bike twice, and he swam once or twice. So, and then John Dunbar was another Navy. He was a Navy SEAL, and so the two of them had what turned out to be the battle. So that day, 15 people showed up. 12 ended up finishing the first ever Ironman triathlon world championship. Dave Orlowski, who bought a Schwinn Easy Spirit a couple days beforehand. He had his jean shorts. I think he came out of the water and put his jean shorts on over his Speedo, which probably was not the greatest thing for rashing. But so Dunbar, being the SEAL, came out of the water in front of Gordon Haller and had a good sized lead at the end of the bike. And no roads were blocked off. You had your own support crew. This was not, there was no aid stations, none of that stuff. You were on your own. Well, Gordon had a masseuse. He had a spare bike, not a spare bike. He used one bike for climbing and another bike for the flats and downhills. Dunbar, on the other hand, did not have the best crew. His crew he had a lead during the marathon, and his crew ran out of water. So they were like, well, we got this liquid stuff called beer. Why don't you just drink that instead? Which John said the first one went down pretty well. And then it got to the point where Gordon caught him at mile 20 and put half an hour on him in the last 6 miles as John was weaving, trying to get to the finish line of this thing. So that was, when I look at the pivotal moments in the growth of Ironman, obviously, it was John and Judy deciding, okay, we're putting on this first thing in February of 1978. And then 79, Sports Illustrated came and covered the event. Again, it was 15 starters and 12 finishers. John likes to say that he retired from race directing as breaking even because he lost $25 in 78 and he made $25 in 79. So he basically, but Sports Illustrated article in 79 led to, there was a 10-page article on an event that had 15 people starting and 12 people finishing, and a local guy named Tom Warren, a local San Diego guy named Tom Warren, knocking off Dunbar and Haller in that race. And that article in Sports Illustrated led to ABC Wild World of Sports coming the following year, 1980. And that's when myself,
I was going to say 1980. That sounds.
Dave Scott, Dave McGilvery, Kurt Madden. I mean, a lot of guys who are still involved with endurance all these years later.
And I think what I've seen over the years is, yes, Ironman is that mythical distance, right? But I've seen the same joy and the same sense of, wow, what did I just do on all the distances, whether it's a sprint, an Olympic, whether it's a pool or outside or a lake or the ocean. And that's, I think, one of the most amazing thing in our sport is the joy at the finish line.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be an Ironman. It can be any distance, really. Well, Bob, thank you so much for your time. You and Heidi, a wonderful Christmas time. All the best.
Thank you, David.
And then I will admit, I will probably miss the party next year.
What?
Well, I might come by for the initial beer at 6.
Yes, so that's what you do. You get there at 6, so you can go to
but that would conflict with the spirit, right? The thank God I'm not racing spirit. It's actually... Yeah. The medal is still on the rack.
Oh, good.
There's only a few non-Ironman medals, one being Oceanside, which was my first half, and then the triumphant Turkey-thon is there, and the rest is pretty much Ironman.
Good luck with your training. Good luck with your training. Keep now, will you be doing Honu this year?
Probably not, because Boulder is the weekend before. Yeah. And it's a little quicker. Plus, while the company I work for has an unlimited vacation policy, Ezra and I will be in New Zealand for the full, and she's doing the half.
That's right.
So we'll scope out the World Championship territory. Not that I haven't been there a few times already, but I've never seen the new start position and the new transition area. I've always finished where the transition is, which is the Great Domain, and then Boulder, and then we're doing 2 weeks for Hawaii because, as you and I know, acclimatization is probably a very substantial part to this.
Good for you. It's gonna be a fun year.
It'll be a fun year, and I'll see you on the island, if not before somewhere. So thank you so much. Give my regards to Heidi.
Thank you, David. I appreciate it, man.